Whew. It's iPhone 15 launch day, and that's right guys, I've been up since the crack of dawn this morning, going down to my local Apple shop, as you can see right here, and I managed to pick up what's inside this bag. And let me show you what I've got. I've got a brand new iPhone 15 Pro Max, and I've also got here an iPhone 15 Plus Model 2. And today what I'm mainly going to be focusing on is the iPhone 15 Pro Max, so we'll put the iPhone 15 Plus just down to one side for today, but there will be another video about that. But focusing on the iPhone 15 Pro Max, like I said, I did go to the Apple store this morning, and as you can see here, I managed to see all the other iPhones out on display. I picked up these two models, and like I said, the iPhone 15 Pro Max is something I'm going to focus on. And with today's video, we're going to start with an unboxing. After that, I'm going to do a bit of a comparison of the iPhone 15 Pro Max to the iPhone 14 Pro Max in the way how it looks and features. And then after that, we're going to actually check out the USB-C port and what that can do. Then after that, we're going to do that obvious camera comparison. I'm going to take this out for a spin outside, see how good it is today on the first day. And then finally, what I'm also going to show you, I'm going to show you some Geekbench and some other Cinebench and 3D Mark. I don't think Cinebench, I think it works, but 3D Mark sort of tests on this, and show you how good the new iPhone 15 Pro Max is compared to the iPhone 14 Pro Max. And with that, guys, let's get started now with the unboxing. So we're switching the camera around now. We've got the iPhone 15 Pro box. Let's have a quick look at the box very quickly. As you can see here, you can probably tell I got the new titanium blue color. I didn't go for the natural color. Just for me, I do like the natural, but I don't know, something about the blue just got me. But I can tell you this now, the actual iPhone is slightly 3D printed out of the actual cardboard there. So the actual screen just slightly just pop out. Dynamic Island doesn't, obviously. It's just that. None of the buttons do or anything like that. And obviously we've got iPhone written on the side here. We've got the whole bits and pieces on the back here. It tells you what's included. iPhone on the side, Apple logo, things like that. Now, one thing I will also just quickly say though, guys, if we have been told that up in the top corner up here, we actually do have sort of a hidden logo, as you can see here in the picture. I don't have one of these lights to sort of shine on this iPhone, but it's basically to stop sort of like counterfeit iPhones going out there. You have like a seal of approval sort of light, as you can see here. So that's really, really useful that Apple have actually introduced this year. But enough of that then, let's get started with this unboxing. So again, these are paper seals. The old plastic, what used to be wrapped in iPhones, has been and gone. So let's peel these off then. So that one first. Oh, nothing like doing this. It's the best feeling ever to get rid of those. So yeah, that's brilliant. And let's have a look then and let's see what's inside the box. Whoa, there we go. There is the brand new iPhone 15 Pro Max. And there you go, your little paper here to help you pull it out. And look at that, guys. That is beautiful. That is a lovely blue. This is a lovely finish. Definitely the best finish I've ever seen on that one. And there we go. We've got a little label there and everything there. We do have the power thing, but funny enough, it's got a lightning bolt. Now, obviously, the lightning bolt can mean power, but I thought it'd have like a USB-C port there instead, like logo or something like that. But it's like a lightning, but oh well, never mind. We do know what it means. It means power as well. So let's do that classic peel. Oh yeah, that is brilliant. That's a lovely feeling when you do that. Whenever you get a new phone, that peel is like one of the best moments. But what we're going to put the phone to one side for a second. We'll have a look a bit more at that. Let's see what else is in the box here. So we do have the new USB-C to USB-C cable at last. We don't have lightning, and there we go. It's a braided cable. It feels very similar to, say, if you got yourself a new MacBook with the MagSafe free charger with that. So you've got a MacBook Air, the MacBook Pro with that. It feels very, very similar to that indeed. Let's have a look here. We've got the usual kind of papers. Got a SIM card. Now you're going to say, why have I got a SIM card? I'm in the UK here, so you know, you lucky guys in America, you get eSIM. We still get the traditional SIM card slots and everything like that. No special sticker colored Apple or anything like that. That normally just only comes with certain Macs and everything, but obviously all the usual safety and whatnot and things like that. But that is literally everything inside the box. And with that, guys, let's turn on the iPhone for the first time. So I'm going to power this on. This lovely feeling. Let's hope there's some charge in this. There we go. There's the Apple logo. So I'm going to boot this up now. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my old iPhone 14 Pro Max and transfer everything over to it. So whilst I'm transferring everything over from my iPhone 14 Pro Max to my new iPhone 15 Pro Max, this gives me a great chance to talk about today's sponsor, and that is from Casetify. Now, you know already, guys, if you've been a big fan of my channel already, I absolutely love Casetify cases, and guess what? They've done it again. They have brought out brand new iPhone 15 cases, just like the ones that you can see here. And specifically, what I want to talk more about today is this case that I'm holding right here in my hands. This is the brand new Ultra Bounce case. Now, last year, Casetify brought out the Bounce case, and they have redefined that case, and it's now 16% more lighter. But the Ultra Bounce case that you can see right here has got thicker rubbers here, and it's a much more sturdier case. It even protects the camera lenses here. It's absolutely fantastic. It's great to hold in the hand, and the best thing of all, guys, it's 10 times military grade. Now, I don't know about you guys, as I'm going to show you in just a second, the titanium finish on this iPhone is absolutely gorgeous. And also at the same time, if you just brought yourself an iPhone 15 Pro Max or any iPhone, you're most likely going to be keeping it for a long time, and you'll definitely want to invest in keeping it protected during the whole lifehood that you're going to keep it. So I would highly recommend a Casetify case. You know your phone is actually going to survive. And just to show you what that basically means, it means it could be dropped from the top of a T-Rex if I was to sit on it on one of these corners. That's how high it can be dropped from. And just to show you here, guys, I've actually also dropped the iPhone here on my desk to show you how well it bounces too. And just to show you here, guys, that where it just dropped there on that top corner up here, it's absolutely fine. There are no knocks or anything. This is my brand new iPhone 15 Pro Max, for Christ's sakes, you know, I've just dropped it like that. But the main reason why it's so well protected is because of the new EcoShock sort of technology. What lines the inside of these cases, what's absolutely brilliant, helps cushion the actual iPhone. And also, I have recently said that I used to have this in my iPhone 14 Pro Max all the time, Casetify cases, and my iPhone 14 Pro Max a whole year later looks absolutely pristine. The other great thing about Casetify cases, as you may have seen from this display here, and what even I've got on the back here, I've got MTT, Matt Talks Tech, you can fully customize your case exactly the way you want it to be. It's dead easy to pick your case on Casetify's website, and you can also pick the Impact case, and like I said, the new refined 16% lighter Bounce case, and then also this Ultra Bounce case too, and also you can customize it to have MagSafe charging inside it as well. Last things to mention as well, guys, is the edges are also raised. If you were to drop the phone flat, it will be absolutely fine on a flat surface. And also at the back here, we've got a 6-layer protection on the back too, of basically multiple bits of plastic and bits of things like that. But at the end of the day, guys, what I will also say that this phone is also made out of the Recasetify program, what basically means that this case is made out of old recycled phone cases too. And if you want to check out these brand new Casetify cases and get yourself loaded up for your new iPhone 15, do check out the link that I'm displaying right now on the page, and also this will be in my description, and you can get an extra 15% off your Casetify case. So if you've got yourself a new iPhone, get yourself a Casetify case right now. So with clearing all of that out of the way, let's now get a close-up of the iPhone 15 Pro Max and compare it to the 14 Pro Max and how it looks in its differences. So what we have here is we have the 14 Pro Max, as you can see, and then also we've got the 15 Pro Max there. So let's start to take a look here, guys. So the first things first is definitely looking at the side here, what the difference is. Let's get this the right way round. So straight away, you can see we do have that action button instead of that silencer, what we've had for all the years that we ever had an iPhone. So that's really, really cool as well. But you can see here, we don't have that sort of glossy kind of look stainless steel. You can see here it's definitely a different shade here completely. That brushed sort of titanium is definitely cool there. But in actual thickness wise, this is going to be quite tricky. Let's see if I can get this close enough. But they are literally like 1 millimeter thinner. The actual new iPhone 15 Pro Max is just 1 millimeter thinner. It's really hard to even get it here on the camera to show you guys, but that is the sort of main differences there on that one. But having a look a bit more on the 15 Pro Max, it's hard to show you here, but the actual camera lenses, they do look a bit different. The way how they've been laid out now in all the camera lenses compared to, say, the iPhone 14 Pro Max, it's a bit different there in how everything is laid out altogether. But then turning over and having a look at the front here, you can see here they look very, very similar. You wouldn't be able to really tell, really. You'd have to have an eagle eye. But one thing I will say is I can actually see there is a slightly thinner bezel around the edge of the 15 Pro Max. It definitely has been shown here. And then also at the same time is obviously the bottom is very different here. We do have the lightning port at the bottom, and then what we do have here on this one, we do have the USB-C port as well at the bottom. But the actual dots for the microphone speaker, they're exactly the same. There's no differences whatsoever there on the differences between the USB and let's see, and then obviously the lightning. But overall, it does actually feel more comfortable in my hands as well. This is something that's really hard to show, but the smoothness of the edging here is definitely far more smoother than what we've got on, say, the 14 models here. So definitely got much more of a sharp edge. It's very hard to show it on this camera here, but you've got to believe me, if you hold one of these in your hands, this is definitely smoother and more rounded than it is here on the 14 Pro Max. I'm really glad that it's much more comfortable in your hand, definitely to hold. But overall, that brushed new titanium look is absolutely gorgeous all the way around. I hate to say it, it is true, it is a fingerprint magnet. I don't know if you can see here around the power, we've got some smudges up here, like there, where I've been turning it on and off already. And this is still just, I've only had this phone for about an hour already. And you can see it's already smudging. So that is a little bit disappointing to see that. But really, everything else looks exactly the same. It just looks like, again, a more redefined design of this design that we've had before. So yeah, it definitely is more premium holding as well. And in weight wise, if you wanted to know, I really cannot tell the difference in weight. It's so tricky. I can tell maybe this is a tiny bit more heavier, the 14 Pro Max. But again, if you handed each of these phones to me, handed me this phone first, took it out of my hand, then gave me this phone, and then in my hand, I couldn't tell you which one was heavier. It's just really tricky to tell. So as much as there's like about a 19-gram difference or whatnot, you're really not going to notice that. So I would consider that, if it's saying that Apple's saying it's the lightest iPhone ever, it is true, but it really doesn't make a big difference there. So as I mentioned, obviously it does have a USB-C port at the bottom, and obviously this has a 10GB port coming in. And I'm also going to do some testing to see what that ProRes from an external drive is going to do in another video with that one. But the main thing what other people want to know is, what can you actually do with this USB port, apart from obviously charge it up the iPhone? What can you also do? Because obviously Apple said that you could charge up accessories like the Apple Watch and AirPods. So I've decided to get a few wires together and also some accessories, and let's see then what the iPhone can do if you plug it into other accessories. So we have the iPhone 15 Pro Max ready here. So there's the USB-C port there. Let's plug in this watch one that I've got right here. So that's plugged in now. And let me get my Ultra Watch and connect it. Does it start to charge? Yep, we got the charging logo. We are charging. So there we go, the thing there. And look at that. Even on my sort of widget I've got on my phone here, it's showing that we are charging up the Apple Watch 2, even though it's going through the cable here. So that is really cool to know that, yeah, definitely we can charge up the Apple Watch Ultra 2 and all other Apple Watches too. So that's really useful with the USB-C. So I'm gonna move that to one side. So the next test, what I'm gonna find out is basically what we've got here is we've got some AirPods, and this is what Apple said, that AirPods could also be charged. Now there is the new USB AirPods, but I've got the Lightning ones here because I want to see if Lightning will even work. So I've got here USB-C to Lightning. So let's just plug that in the bottom here, and let's now plug that into the Lightning port there. And there we go, that is definitely charging, orange light and everything. So that's really good news to hear that you can charge Lightning AirPods as well, so any of those ones. So let's just keep that connected, because the other question is what happens if you've got, say, like the iPhone 14 Pro Max or a Lightning iPhone? What will happen there if we plug that in? So I'm going to plug in this. I've got a load of messages there still from my old iPhone. So it's clear there. Let's plug that in. And there we go. It says it is charging. So again, that is being powered over to that new iPhone there. So the new iPhone is charging up the iPhone 14 Pro Max. That's really good news to hear. But the other question that some of you are probably wondering is, what happens if you don't have this cable, but what happens instead you actually had the traditional MagSafe charger? So I'm going to plug in the MagSafe charger now. Like I said, guys, we're going to try everything out here. And let's now plug this on. Does it charge? Let's have a look. No, there is no charging. Nope, nothing at all there. So we've got no charging there if you do MagSafe. So be aware of that. If you've got a MagSafe charger, no, it does not charge through that way. Now, the other question that other people want to know is say you have an iPhone here, and let's say we got the cable, the braided cable, plug that in, and let's not have the iPhone here out of the way. What if you've got like an iPad? I've got my iPad mini here. What happens if we plug in an iPad mini? What happens here? Let's have a look. The iPad mini is charging the iPhone, but I have heard a rumor that whatever device, Apple device that has USB-C, has the higher battery amount on an iPad or an iPhone, basically it will charge the other way. So as you can see here, we are basically charging up the iPhone this time because the iPad has got a 76% battery, whereas we've only got a, what have we got here? 69% battery, so we're only just a little bit behind there. So this is actually, the iPad is charging up the iPhone, but it's good to know that that can be done on that way. The other question obviously is, what happens if you plug in, say, an Android phone? So what I've got right here is I've got a Pixel 7 Pro, and I'm going to plug this in now and see what happens. Same thing again. We are now charging the iPhone, and the main reason is because the battery on my Pixel here is at 100%. Now, I have actually heard that if the devices, again, like the Android devices, if they are basically PD compatible, have that PD chip inside it, then what will happen is it works out, they sort of talk to each other to work out which one to charge up, which is the priority. So obviously they've had a little chat. Pixel says, I've got more battery than new iPhone. So then what happens is then the Pixel will start to charge up the iPhone there. So next of all, let's talk about the iPhone 15 Pro Max cameras. Now, the benchmarking, what I'm going to do today is compare it to the 14 Pro Max that we have right here. But obviously, like I said, I will be making another video, probably in the next couple of days, comparing it to the 14 Pro Max, to a Pixel 7 Pro, and also an S23 Ultra. So if you are new here and you definitely want to see that video, make sure you subscribe to this channel and also hit that notification bell, because you don't want to miss out on that video coming in the next couple of days. But like I said, I'm just going to do some initial tests today just to see how everything is working out. So as the weather was good today, I decided to go outside with both the iPhones and first of all test selfie filming. So as you can see, guys, this is the iPhone 14 Pro Max. I'm just walking along here and you can see it's still quite clear. So let me increase it into a bit of a jog, into a bit of a run here. You can see the stabilization, and there we go. So switching over to the iPhone 15 Pro Max, it's just me walking along now. See how clear it is here. So I'm gonna go for a bit of a jog now again on the selfie camera. And there we go. So while I'm still outside here, I thought I'd also test out the zoom capability. So first of all, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do some recording and do kind of the zoomed out approach and sort of focal in completely up to the 5x zoom, and also do the digital zoom too. But first of all, we're going to start out with the 14 Pro Max. So first of all, what we have here, this is the 0.5 zoom we've got right here. So let's now crank it up to 1x zoom. So here we have the 1x zoom, as you can see. Let's crank that up to 2x zoom, and then finally let's crank that up to 3x zoom. And there we go, that's how clear you can see it is. Now obviously what I'm going to do now is I'm going to do a digital zoom up to 15x zoom. There's a windmill over there, a win one. So this is the highest it will go. This is the ultimate you can go on this. It only allows me to go up to 9x zoom on video recording here. So you can see here things are a little bit not that clear with leaves and things like that. But there we go, you can see the windmill. Let's now switch over to the iPhone 15 Pro Max. So first of all, we've got the ultra wide, as you can see here. Now we're going to go up to 1x zoom. So now this is the 1x zoom, going up to 2x zoom, and now let's crank it up to the 5x zoom. And as you can see, the Wimmer was very, very clear, so I'm just going to zoom in a bit more. And this time I can go right up to a 15x zoom on the video here. So you can see it's a little bit unstable, it's a bit wobbly in places, but you get the idea. It can actually do it, and we are actually getting quite a good picture there for 15x digital zoom. So after that, I thought, let's try out the photos. Let's see how good the cameras are next of all on both of these phones. So again, iPhone 14 Pro Max, this is 0.5 up to 1x zoom. Then we've got a 2x zoom. Then we've got a 3x zoom. Then I thought I'd put this actually up to a 15x digital zoom. So first of all, we have the 0.5 here on the 15 Pro Max, then going up to 1x, then going up to a 2x, and then I actually set it to actually a 3x, the same as the 14 Pro Max. Then we're using that 5x zoom, and then I stretched it all the way out to the 25 digital zoom, as you can see right here. Again, obviously at 25x zoom, it gets a little bit grainy. So I'd actually say probably up to a 10x digital zoom is probably the best that we've actually got. But then at the same time, I decided to do some portrait pictures here. So we've got the 14 Pro Max first, which does a very good job. And then obviously the 15 Pro Max as well. They're very, very similar indeed here. So then finally, after doing everything to do with the cameras, let's now do some benchmarking. A lot of you geeky and nerdy people out there are like me and want to know how much faster is that A17 chipset and the RAM compared to what we have with the A16 chipset inside the iPhone 14 Pro Max that we have here. We're going to go from the battle of the gods. So let's get started right away. So what we've got here, we've got the 14 Pro Max, as you can see, and then we've also got the brand new 15 Pro Max there. So the first sort of test we're going to do here is Geekbench 6, because this is something that everybody wants to know. So we're going to open up Geekbench 6 here, and let's now run the test on both of these iPhones. So let's start off with the CPU benchmark. We're going to run that on the 14 Pro Max, and I'm also going to run that on the 15 Pro Max. And there we go, the iPhone 15 Pro Max has finished first of all. So obviously I did start this after the 14 Pro. There we go, there's the iPhone 14 Pro Max. But you can see straight away, we've got around about just over 300 more in single core score. But then for the multi-core, depending where you are in the world, it is definitely a lot more here. We're talking around about over 500 more in the score. What it's like Apple do claim is around about a 10% sort of gain in sort of the scores there. But next of all, let's come out of the actual CPU and let's now actually do a graphical test, because this is where Apple have said there's big enhancements. And just for the record, guys, you can just see here 6 gigabytes of, oh, I pressed it there, 6 gigabytes of RAM and 8 gigabytes of RAM. So there's definitely 8 gigs in the 15 Pro Max. So let's just run that next of all then. So we're going to run the GPU test, and let's just run the GPU test here. And let's see how that performs. And there we have it. And to Apple's word, you can easily see it's about a 20% gain in GPU here compared to the GPU on the 14 Pro Max. It's definitely an enhancement there. So that is really, really good to see that we definitely have got that increase there. Now what we're going to run is actually a Geekbench machine learning. So this is something that Apple have said, that the machine learning is twice as fast. Now, not many people do this, but we've got to remember that as I start this up, that basically neural engine inside these iPhones make a big part of the CPU now, or basically the whole chipset, as it were. It takes on a lot of tasks, so all that photo editing and things like this, and even stuff to do with our actual games and scaling and all of this sort of good stuff, and many things. You've got to remember the neural engine is definitely a big part, and a lot of new apps, or to be honest, apps in the last couple of years are really taking advantage of it. So it's definitely worth checking that out, because at the end of the day, it's not all about old-fashioned CPU and GPU horsepower. But let's see how well then this performs. And there we go. You can see the score there that you've got here, a 1,407 and 1,159. Maybe, I don't know, that, you know, Geekbench machine learning is not fully optimized here for it, because Apple are claiming that obviously that their machine learning is 200%, 2 times better than what it was on the A16 chipset. And you can see here, it's definitely not the case. Like I said, I'm guessing it's down to optimization or just how this test runs and how it tests out that sort of machine learning, that neural engine on here. But as you can see here, the 15 Pro Max definitely has got a higher number than we've got with the 14 Pro Max. So yeah, it's really, really good to see that. So next of all, let's close that down and let's run the next test. So the next test we're going to do here is 3D Mark. So I'm going to open this up and we're actually going to do a Wildlife Extreme on both of these phones. So we're going to start this off. So obviously it has switched sideways, but I'm just going to leave this run now and wait to the end to see actually how it looks. While this test is running, I can see here straight away that we're getting about 30 frames per second on the 15 Pro Max. I'm only getting about 22 here on the 14 Pro Max. But let's just see then what happens if we completely continue this test and let it get right to the end. And there we have it, guys. There we go. It's all been completed now. So you can definitely see here, look, the iPhone 14 Pro Max could only get up to about 24 frames per second, whereas the iPhone 15 Pro Max got up to about 30 frames per second there. So that is really, really good to see. And you can see here between 11 and 24 frames per second, 12 and 31 frames per second. The average frame rate was 18.5 and the average was 21.1 frames per second there. And then the overall score, 3,091 here for the 14 Pro Max and 3,517 for the iPhone 15 Pro Max. So definitely an improvement there. So let's close that one down next and let's now run the next score, what's all to do with Antutu benchmark. So let me get that started and we're going to start this off. And as the test is just finishing off here, you can see, look at that score there. That's really, really impressive of the iPhone 15 Pro Max. All the different scores there, CPU, GPU, memory, and one second, let's just finish there on the 14 Pro Max, but even there as well, just daily sort of tasking, as you can see the big difference there. So again, this is around about a sort of a 10% sort of increase sort of there between the two different scores, but it's a good thing to do this test because obviously it tests out so many different factors, not just dedicating itself to CPU, machine learning or GPU. It does everything in one. So it's really, really good to see those scores there. And definitely the 15 Pro Max is an improvement over the 14 Pro Max, but it's not, you know, rocketing ahead, as it were, in front of the 14 Pro Max. And there we have it, guys. That is all the testing that we've done for today. Overall, like I said, for my first few hours with the iPhone 15 Pro Max, I absolutely love it. I really love the design. Like I said, it does just feel like a polished up design. It reminds me of the days of when Apple brought out the iPhone 6, the 6S, and then they brought out the 7, and they sort of completely kept the same design, but sort of polished it up, made it look really neat. It's like the sort of defined version of what the actual sort of 6S and what also the 6 used to be. This is what this is. This is basically like the polished up version of a 14 or a 13 or a 12 model. But it also does make me wonder though that if next year we're going to get a brand new design altogether. But for my first impressions, I do really like the new iPhone. It has definitely an improvement on the last generation. And at the end of the day, if you are looking to upgrade, I would say from say an iPhone 12 or even say an iPhone 11, the possibility of a 13, probably not 13 Pro Max in my opinion, then yeah, it's possibly worth upgrading to this. But if you are say on a 13 Pro Max or Pro, or let's say you're on a 14 Pro or 14 Pro Max, maybe you need to wait till next year with the iPhone 16 models, because I think more than likely we're probably going to see a new design next year, because this is the 4th year. Technically we'd be borrowing this design, so we'll have to wait and see. But there we go, guys. That's my first impressions, and that is the unboxing of the iPhone 15 Pro Max. Like I said to you guys, we do also have that camera video coming up very soon, and also I'm going to do another video for this. This is the iPhone 15 Plus. So make sure if you haven't done so already, subscribe to this channel and also hit that notification bell to see those new videos. And also if you've enjoyed watching this video, a like to the actual video would also really be appreciated. And on that note, guys, it's time to go. I'm going to have some fun with the iPhone 15 Pro Max. I'll see you soon. Take care. Bye bye.